Are you looking for a delicious pie made into a muffin? How about pecan pie muffin? Well, if you have been looking for that, then you've definitely come to the right place because today I'm making pecan pie muffins. They're muffins with the flavors of pecan pie. That was 1.5 cups of flour I measured into a large bowl. To that, add 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon, of course, salt. Give it a whisk. That's your dry ingredients. The base of muffins, very, very simple usually. Set that aside for just a sec. And then whisk together 1 cup of dark brown sugar with 2 large eggs. You know, you could probably mix these all together into the dry ingredients bowl, but I do find that it's easier to mix the wet ingredients separately and then whisk them directly into the dry ingredients. Just from a coming together perspective, I guess. Brown sugar in particular can be kind of lumpy, so you want to get the lumps out before you add it to your batter. And that's much easier to do if you're gradually adding wet ingredients to your sugar than to just sort of dump everything together. The sugar should dissolve. If it's not dissolving, this is what I usually do. I either go in with my fingers and get them all sticky, or just take like a spatula and sort of press on it, because brown sugar lumps, while delicious to come upon a brown sugar lump in your muffin, would make it so that the sugar doesn't distribute evenly in the batter. So get rid of the lumps. Then you can add 12 tablespoons of melted unsalted butter and 1/2 cup of milk. I'm going to whisk this in to my dry ingredients, and then I'll get to my pecans, which make this a pecan pie. Oh, look at that. There's some lumps. I like to store my brown sugar in a really, really well-sealed, airtight container out of its box, because once it opens, if you're not very, very careful, it can turn into one big, hard, unusable lump. And you can microwave it a few minutes to re-soften it, but once it gets really hard, sometimes it's just beyond help. So I like to transfer it to an airtight container. That's your batter. Set it aside. And this right here is 1 cup of toasted pecans. I've reserved 1/2 cup of toasted pecans for the top. They need to be chopped. You can toast them at 350 degrees for about 10 to 12 minutes. They need to be very fragrant and turning slightly darker. You have to be careful because pecans, which are really sweet and delicious, can get really bitter and kind of acrid tasting if they're over toasted, bordering on burnt. So just keep an eye on them. Set a timer. So you can see that this is a really high ratio of nut in this batter. It's 1 cup of nuts, and it was only 1.5 cups of flour, so it's going to be really dense and delicious. Add this to your batter. I don't really think the whisk is appropriate anymore. I'm going to switch to a spatula. Give it a stir. At this point, if you were using the whisk, all the nuts would probably just stick into the whisk, which is super annoying. Okay, now you want to divide your batter evenly among lined baking cups. Have your oven preheating to 350 degrees. Generally speaking, with muffins, you want the cups to be about 2/3 of the way full. I like to use an ice cream scoop because it's way less messy. It really only works with the kind that has the release. It's not so good with the other kinds. If you're unsure about the size of your scoop, scoop evenly and then go back in and just divide the remaining batter among the cups, which is what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to use all the batter. Then top each one with a toasted pecan because it's pretty. I mean, you don't have to. I just like to. And then if you want to, and I like to, sprinkle a little bit of fine sanding sugar. It just adds a little additional crunch on top and some pretty sparkliness. Yeah, these are not health food muffins. That's for sure. They're really just like little tiny cakes. But that's okay sometimes. Makes them delicious. Get these in the oven. They'll only take about 20 minutes to bake. Which one should I eat? You have to let them cool. You really, really do. Warm muffins, like warm cake, can be really gummy, and then you'll bite into them and you'll be like, she said these were gonna be good and they're not good at all. It'll happen, I guarantee it. So give it enough time to cool so that the cake is not gummy. Brown sugar, pecans together, it's like a match made in heaven. You guys are gonna love it.